Coming to you from the music capital of the world, you are watching Country Rap Review with your host, Stryker.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. If you are new, please like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for notifications coming up. Well, in more hip-hop and rap news, there's more sad news coming out today. Sacramento rapper Hot Boy Jew reportedly was killed in a broad daylight car-to-car shooting. What is going on here nowadays with the rappers, man? I'm telling you, Sacramento, California, less than 24 hours ago, or after San Diego rapper OGYD was reported dead following an interstate shooting, another California rapper has reportedly succumbed to more gun violence. According to the KCR3, several other sources, police are investigating the fatal shooting of a local rapper, Hot Boy Jew, who was killed in a car-to-car shooting on just the other day, actually yesterday, and the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office confirmed the victim died after being shot inside a vehicle in the North Highlands area.
Tonight, Sacramento Sheriff's deputies are investigating a deadly car-to-car shooting after the terrifying scene played out on a North Highlands street this afternoon.
Yeah, right in the middle of the day. It happened around 2:30 this afternoon on Watt Avenue near Roseville Road. Now, crime scene investigators were collecting evidence in this mini mall after the shooting. Evidence markers and shattered glass could be seen surrounding the victim's white SUV.
This victim was a passenger inside of a vehicle, and that there was another vehicle that drove close proximity to it and fired off several rounds.
The sheriff's office says first responders performed CPR on the victim before he was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Deputies have not identified him. So far, there are no arrests.
Okay, so biggest problem that I'm seeing is that people are making content online that actually doesn't do anything. You're hearing crickets when you create content, and that's defeating, but it's also a waste of your time and your energy, which are truly your most valuable resources. So I create what I like to call client magnet content, and it's really based off of 3 steps. So the strategy is centered around something we call profitable content. So profitable content really is the center of the system. So we put that here. Profitable content is content that you create that actually turns into clients. So it turns viewers, followers, likes, subscribers into paying clients. So we've had clients have like 160 subscribers and generate $3,000 in revenue. We've had clients go from
Life quotes that, if applied, will change the way you see the world forever. Why do we love life quotes so much? I think I have the answer. Life quotes have a way of piercing through the BS and noise surrounding us. Life quotes are the swords that cut the Gordian knots of noise and reveal the essence of life we know deep down, but tend to forget. I'm a writer, which means I love quotes, but I also understand how simultaneously insightful and useless they can be. You can do one of 2 things with a quote. Use it as an inspirational fluff to post on Instagram, or use the insight to change your life. The wisdom of quotes is extremely powerful when applied. I've collected quotes I come back to time and time again when my life isn't aligned, I need a reminder, or simply want to reflect on the beauty of life itself. I could easily look up some quotes and slap them into a blog post. Instead, I'm only going to use quotes I can recall from memory, talk about how I've used them in my life, and provide ways for you to do the same. The triviality trap. We're all going to die, all of us. What a circus. That alone should make us love each other, but it doesn't. We are terrorized and flattened by trivialities. We are eaten up by nothing. Charles Bukowski. Big challenges don't trip us up. Little petty annoyances cumulatively throw our lives off balance. Office politics at work, your commute, errands, meaningless news, gossip, tiny bouts of envy, social media, so it goes. Think of how much time you spend on meaningful activities versus the amount of time you spend letting life's trivialities swallow you whole. You know what I love most about writing? I get to escape the noise. When I enter that flow state, I get to retreat from the chaos of life and do something that, to me at least, means something. I build my life around the ethos of increasing my meaningful time and decreasing the trivialities I have to deal with. Life isn't always overtly tragic. Sometimes it's tragic simply because you waste it and don't realize that until it's way too late. Which reminds me, reverse this equation. You are mortal in everything you fear and immortal in everything you desire. Seneca. You think you have time. You don't. You're afraid of death, yet you act like you have unlimited time to live. Humans are weird. We tend to reverse the useful truth to suit our egos. The useful truth I live by is the reverse of Seneca's quote. I often find myself working like I'll die tomorrow. This actually causes me to fear death less. I'm guessing that within a few years I'll reach the point where I'd be okay if I died. Give me a few more books, milestones, moments of meaning, and memories with the people I love. I'll be good. Granted, I don't want to die, but you fear death less the more fully you live in the present. Seneca also says, life is long if you know how to use it. I do what I love almost every day. Time feels like house money after I've done that. In your case, why not reverse the mortality equation? Why not live like you'll die tomorrow? Because you're afraid. It's useless to be afraid of death because you can't control when it happens, but you can control how you use your time right now. Don't sit on the sidelines. Do this instead. If you see fraud and do not say fraud, you are a fraud. Nassim Taleb. I spent a great deal of time talking about all the BS society feeds us. You've been conditioned and trained to feel helpless. Societies emerge to stifle the mobility of individuals out of necessity, and people fall for it every day. They believe the news, which is about 99% propaganda. They blindly follow the status quo. We collectively allow these institutions to arbitrarily divide us, even though we all more or less want the same things from life: love, family, joy, meaningful work, simple. More and more, I'm trying to remove the fluff from my writing and talk straight. My new book and my recent writing have been centered around the idea that most of the beliefs you're fed are absolute nonsense, and that individual responsibility isn't an ideal to live up to, but your only choice, because the people you're hoping will save you are fraudulent, 100% of them. Speaking of fraudulent societal notions, never, ever, ever let this happen to you. Remember this: the world wants to assign you a role, and once you accept that role, you're doomed. Robert Greene. Have you accepted the role society gave you? Are you free? Do you know how to think for yourself and make your own decisions? Be honest. No one else is around. I love the show Weeds, and the theme song for that show perfectly encapsulates the mentality we fall prey to. And the people in the houses all went to the university where they were put in boxes and they came out all the same. Is this really the American dream? A little box on the hillside? Is this what you're working so hard for? Consider trading your life purpose to keep up with the Joneses, watch Netflix at night, have 2 days a week to F off, and a few weeks of vacation to cope with it all. I know my route isn't for everybody, and I'm also certain some people are happy living in little boxes. A lot of people aren't, though. They want to break out, but they don't know how. Are you one of these people? I've written multiple books about the process, but the short answer is to realize that you've basically been conditioned to have these beliefs, and the effort to unlearn them can be just as rigorous as the conditioning itself. Get to work. Seriously, you really do this? You want the praise of people who kick themselves every 15 minutes, the praise of people who despise themselves? Marcus Aurelius. I love thinking this one through because when you do, it makes you realize how absurd it is to care what other people think. Think about how preoccupied with yourself you are. Extremely. You put yourself at the center of the universe constantly. You wrestle with your inner critic and doubt yourself constantly. Not a day, maybe not even an hour, goes by where something doesn't remind you of your inadequacy. Sometimes you can be straight up neurotic. Everybody is like this, yet somehow we imagine everyone else to be secure and confident people, judging us from their ivory towers. Nobody knows what the hell we're doing. As the infamous Kanye West said, "We're all self-conscious, I'm just the first to admit it." When I get a negative comment on one of my blog posts, I remember the person leaving that comment as an insecure human being. Not insecure because they're leaving the comment, but insecure as a default state of being. Essentially, I constantly remind myself of the inner workings of other people's minds to mitigate the fear of embarrassment, criticism, rejection, and so on. Part of playing the game of life is realizing that it is a game. I work hard, but I don't take myself that seriously because no one else does. Neither should you. The recipe for success in 2021 and beyond. Following your genuine intellectual curiosity is better than following whatever makes money. The internet has massively broadened the space of possible careers. Most people don't understand this. Naval Ravikant. I get paid a full-time living to talk about things I'm interested in. It's wild. Not only is it wild, but it would have been 10 times harder for me to do so just a decade ago. This ties into the quotes above about society trying to teach you to be helpless. It's really hard to have an excuse for your career failings in 2021. It just is. You can publish a book on Amazon, take classes from Yale and Harvard for free, start a YouTube channel and become a millionaire before you hit puberty, learn to code for no upfront fee at places like Lambda School, create an e-commerce business for basically zero money, freelance. I could go on and on. The internet is desperately begging you to level up, but you won't. Why? Because you're stuck in a mental prison built on the industrial and corporatist mental model. Those institutions are dead, totally. They just don't know it yet. Are you going to be on the right side of history? It depends. Are you ready to understand the world? The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around. What do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we're trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. Morpheus. Not only do people not desperately want to escape the status quo, but they'll also fight to the death to prop it up. I used to try to convert these people until I realized some people can't be saved. I don't have arguments with these people. Instead, I just live my life in the hopes of setting an example for others and talk to the people who are ready to hear what I have to say. The devil you know is better than the one you don't. Again, tying into the above quote about trivialities tripping people up. Most people don't suffer dramatic setbacks from facing tough challenges. No, they slowly fall into complacency until it is cemented into their personality. As much as some people don't enjoy their circumstances, they're not dissatisfied enough to change. I've told the story many times about the exact day I decided to change my life. In the room of my shoddy apartment, During a time where I was hopeless, broke, and completely stuck, I stood up and screamed at the top of my lungs, "I'm not fucking living like this anymore." I was genuinely fed up. I realized that if I was going to live the type of life I wanted to live, it would have to be on my own terms. It's that simple. Does your worldview suit you? Is it working out for you? How does your model of reality affect your daily life? Are you content to live in the Matrix, or do you want to take the red pill? It won't be comfortable. Neo went from his cubicle and apartment to being cold, naked, and afraid aboard a ship traversing an apocalyptic plane. But he also became the hero. You can too. Turn this into fuel. We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars. But we won't. And we're slowly learning that fact. And we're very, very pissed off. Tyler Durden. You fell for the fairy tale hook, line, and sinker. I think back to when I was in college. Everyone was super excited about the future. Society paved the road they'd glide on with grace. The ages of 22 to 25 are where you see the last vestiges of hope and excitement for about 90% of people. The fork in the road splits. Many choose a route that slowly begins to piss them off. A few take the road less traveled. Which one have you taken? Look, the point of this isn't to attack anyone. I'm just asking you, personally, honestly, bluntly, if you're pissed off about the way your life has turned out. Do you feel lied to, duped, hoodwinked? If you do feel that way, good. Use it. Positive emotions are overrated. The bulk of my motivation came from discontent. Maybe you won't be a movie god or a rock star, but I bet you can do a hell of a lot more than what you're doing right now. I also bet you believe the same. Don't be insane. Madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, states, and societies, it's the norm. Friedrich Nietzsche. I feel a little bit bad for people who are caught up in this mass hysteria based on a war between two arbitrarily divided and eerily similar political parties. Check out this article about people who pretend to hate each other on TV, all partying in the Hamptons together. But it's interesting to watch. Human beings are tribal animals. We've evolved group cohesion strategies to survive. Social media companies, the news, and the shrewd culture war generals know this and use it to cause groupthink on steroids. Let me ask you, why do you care about your team so much? What does your team do for you exactly? No, really, I'd like to know. This thinking ties in with this quote from Mark Twain. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect. Do you think for yourself, or have you been indoctrinated to think a certain way? Here's an easy tell. If you tell me your stance on a hot-button issue, say gun control, and I can correctly guess every single one of your opinions on all of the other hot-button issues, you're not a critical thinker, you're a mascot. Thinking for yourself is difficult and uncomfortable because you subject yourself to alienation. But which would you rather be? Alone and free? Or singing Kumbaya with the fellow members of your insane ideological cult? The choice is yours. Run your own race. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will think it's stupid. Albert Einstein. Let me lighten up the tone here a little bit. Without knowing you, I genuinely think you're capable of doing something great with your life. What that something is, I don't know. Many factors come into play. Your strengths, your circumstances, your current career, your belief systems. So it goes. You could say that some people are genuinely dealt a shit hand, and you'd be right. I honestly don't know what to do for those people, and can admit that. But for most of us, the working to middle-class folks who maybe just made the wrong decisions, it's possible to construct a life that aligns with who you really are. Not the you society wants you to be, not the you that does things you hate in exchange for, well, nothing truly valuable. You can align your life with the you that you once knew. the one that was excited and curious about life, the one that loved to write, paint, crack jokes, make paper airplanes, do math problems for fun? Yes, these people exist. Pretend to be a broadcaster on Sunday afternoons, whatever. You have a skill, a talent, a perfectly suited spot for you in this universe. Finding it and doubling down on it for the rest of your life is pretty much the only success tip you need.
Think it up, make it up, pep it up. America's #1 pepperoni brand.
Coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, you are watching Kings of Country Rap. I'm Richard Danis. Hey guys, you want to light up the bed of your truck with some bad boy LEDs? Please check out the link below in the description box. Well, today history was made and history has been changed. America is being circumcised. Video sharing platform YouTube is now the second most popular website as of August 2019, according to the Alexa Internet. According to the company's press page, YouTube has more than 1 billion users, and each day, those users watch more than 1 billion hours of video. Censorship of it has occurred and continues to occur varying degrees in most countries throughout the world. So the big question is, from one of our listeners today asked us if we were going to do a show on this, and we actually were in the process of doing so. Will YouTube actually take down all of the videos that feature or show the Confederate flag? Now, folks, this is not a political show. Why are we doing this video? The reason why we're doing this video today is because so many Southern rappers, country rappers, have used the Confederate flag in their videos. And it is a question to ask yourself, is this going to now change the hip-hop world, the country hip-hop world? Well, I'm going to answer this question and give my opinion right after you watch this, because it's interesting. What you're going to hear right now is a candid interview with by SCV Tennessee Division Commander Mike Beck with HK Edgerton regarding the true South and the historical perspective of how life truly was in the Southland as opposed to the lies and propaganda we have been fed for many generations. Will YouTube remove the Confederate flag in any videos that feature the Confederate flag? My opinion coming up right after this.
As you know, I'm a former president of the NAACP in the city of Asheville, North Carolina. And after having an illegal election run on me, my good friend Kurt D. Lyons said to me, HK, if you want to do some real civil rights fighting, your whole civil rights life will come full circle if you come out and join our organization, which is the Southern Legal Resource Center. And we are a nonprofit civil rights law firm that fights heritage violations against the Christian Cross of St. Andrew. And after I read some of the letters from my babies on how they were losing their First Amendment rights at the schoolhouse and how people were using implied immunity to stop them from wearing their little Dixie Outfitter t-shirts and anything that depicted the flag, they were told to turn their shirts inside out. Many of them couldn't use the word Confederacy. And a lot of them crying out to help from the Southern Legal Resource Center. And surprisingly for me, a great deal of those babies that were crying out for help were black babies. A young black girl chose me as the person that she wanted to do a Black History report on. And God bless her school and her teachers who've invited me to Louisiana, and I hope I get the opportunity to go. And one of the things that this baby said to me was, you know, something's not right about this. Right down the street here, my grandmama's best friend has got a big, huge flagpole with the Confederate flag flying. And Mr. Edson, I've been reading about you, and I'm so sorry that when you came through here, I didn't get the chance to march with you, but I'd missed a certain amount of days in school and had to. And she talked about all her friends and all her black friends. These children want to know because they see something that's not quite right. It's not quite like these people keep saying that it is. And I, you know, I'm so very glad that I had the opportunity to influence a great deal of them. Of course, many of my babies get in trouble because of the fact they say, well, Mr. Edgerton's carrying the flag. So I have a great deal of faith in the South. I have a great deal of faith in our young generation, even though we say that they don't say yes, sir, no, ma'am, and they've not taught to say the Lord's Prayer. But I'm going to tell you something. There's a resolve in Southern people, young and old, that will come a day that worm will turn and the truth will be known here in the Southland of America about what happened. King Galilei, an African king who told James Wilmot, an agent of the King of England, that if a white man came round there to Africa to buy slaves, he was going to sell them. If he didn't sell them, he was going to kill them. And to go back and tell the king that no amount of money he could send him would induce him to end that slave trade. All you have to do is just say the word slavery, and it's been a situation where Christian white folks in the South have held their heads down because the whole institution of slavery has been blamed solely on Christian white folks in the South, and the whole world acts as though it didn't participate, and the whole world did participate, and especially those Africans. And now children want to know real answers. They want to know why you sit and call their grandfathers all these demonic and evil. They want to know these things. And the other thing that they see certain things happening with each other. Because, you know, black folks and white folks in the Southland of America, we've been family in lieu of slavery for a long time. And I think one of the very reasons why those men chose this flag, even though most of the Southerners felt like that the Yankees should have been the ones who came up with another flag, another battle flag, because they had a great deal of ownership in the United States flag, just for the war of succession against England. But when they chose this flag, they chose the flag because of its history. I mean, this flag has been used to fight tyranny for a long time. In Vietnam, many times when young black men found themselves in a firefight and lost from the troops and didn't know where they were going, when they saw that flag flying, they knew that there was some Christian Southern black boys or white boys down there, and they knew that they were going to be all right. The Korean conflict, the United States flag could not be flown. They wouldn't allow it. But my God, the Christian cross of St. Andrew was flown proudly over American troops. And people don't even know about these things. The first thing they want to do is just holler slavery and end all debate. What people don't understand, see what has happened to us as Southerners for so long, we've been dumbed down, even since Reconstruction, with the advent of the building of the Freedmen's Bureau in 1865, certainly the North knew that it had to come down here and propagandize the South. So it sent its teachers here, it dumbed our children down, they did everything they could do to divide and separate black folks and white folks in the Southland of America. You spend 150 years trying to wonder, why are we going through all these problems? Why all this hatred? Why things haven't happened? I heard somebody mention the Honorable R.L. Dabney from Prince Edward County, Virginia today. You know, Reverend Dabney sent a letter to General Howard at the Freedmen's Bureau in 1865 and told him, like a prophet, don't do these black folks bad. Don't take them around to your prisons and stuff. Maybe we haven't done a good by them by the South. That's what y'all claim. Now you have all the money, all the resources, do good by our black family members. And what did they do? 150 years we've lived in depression, bad rule, because, you know, I don't know why some black folks think the northern folks have this great love for them. Those northern folks know history. They know about all those black folks who ran with white folks around here and fought and died and sniped and killed Yankees. They don't have no love. There's no love for them around here. Here's the thing about it for me, the terrible irony of this thing is this. If the North did anything, any victory, see, because for me, the victory didn't come with Marsh Lee over there at Appomattox Courthouse for those folks. It did not come. Because they knew that in the hearts of Southern people, even though you might have won the battle on the field because you outnumbered us, you had repeater rifles, you had soldiers of fortune you were bringing in from all over the place, in the hearts and minds of us, that thing still was there. the love for the Southland of America. So the only way, basically, that we could do this thing is to dumb down the people and grab black folks and divide and separate them down in the South. We can't have those black folks around there voting with their Southern white family. What was the sense of going to war if we did that? So, and orchestrated, and this was very programmed. And people think this is a mistake, or it's just something accidentally happened. This is an ongoing Cold War that was instituted by these folks from the North to divide and separate us. Most of these black babies, all of these black babies, they talk about Black History Month. How are you going to separate Confederate history and Southern history from black folks? But they don't talk about Levi Carnine, Reverend Mac Lee, Hope Collier, John Edgerton. They don't talk about these folks because, I mean, these are black heroes who fought very bravely. Reverend Mac Lee said, the bodyguard to the Honorable General Robert E. Lee, who built more churches in the North and Southland of America than any other minister that I know of. He told his people, after he'd educated himself with the money that General Lee had given him, keep your faith in God, buy you some land, get yourself educated, and beyond all else, put your faith and trust in the white man in the South, no other, because he knew what was in the hearts and minds of Southern people. There's a love that exists in the Southland of America between black folks and white folks. It's hard to explain to folks. It's a whole lot different. The biggest tragedy of all, the whole world wants to associate the Ku Klux Klan or any hate organization with my flag. These folks talked about Nathan Bedford Forrest. Well, if it don't be for Nathan Bedford Forrest and that original Ku Klux Klan, I'm not talking about what happened after Nathan Bedford Forrest, many of us Southerners, red, yellow, black, and white, would be just like the dinosaur around here in the Southland of America, extinct. And people don't understand that. They just say Ku Klux Klan, and all of a sudden they gather these images of my flag and white men standing around beating and hanging and whipping black folks. Wrong, wrong, wrong. What about old man Pooley right around there in Alabama who joined the Ku Klux Klan because his family wanted to vote in the election and wanted to vote in the Democratic Party, and Thaddeus Stevens and his boys come down here and terrorize them in the fields and beat them. And many times he went to the Ku Klux Klan. Thaddeus Stevens and his boys found out how successful that the Klan was at defending Southern folks, red, yellow, black, and white. So what did they do? They started sending their boys down here and dressing up like the Klan and committed terror in the South. And then all of a sudden, you know, Nathan Bedford Forrest understood this thing. He told his men, let's just come home. Let's go home and forget about this thing. Out of all his black men that rode with him, he said, every single one of my black men are as good as any soldier that rides with me. And I'll tell you something. From all the accounts of what you do find, there was not a single man that rode with Nathan Bedford Forrest who looked like me that wouldn't have given his life for Nathan Bedford Forrest. Napoleon Windbush. Here's a man that was captured with 7 horses, and the Yankees took him and exchanged him for 4 or 5 other white men. You know, what person would do that? No way. There were many black men who wouldn't even take the loyalty oath. Trained cadre of black folks on plantations all across the Southland of America, made all the implements of war, stayed at home, provided all the foodstuffs. Many went off to fight in the war gloriously. In the 77 cities that I marched through when I walked to Texas, there was not one town that somebody did not come with a black Confederate hero. I'm not just talking about ordinary folks, I'm talking about heroes. People say slavery and it just ends right there, but you know, it's the biggest trick that ever happened. While slavery, by some white men in the South, and I've heard it, I even heard some very rare recordings that Dr. Southall Freeman did, especially one Confederate soldier who said that slavery was a curse on the white people in the South. While slavery might have been a curse on the white folks in the South, it was a blessing for many of us who wear this color. Now some folks will say, well, Uncle Tom, what you talking about? But let me tell you something. When my great-great-grandmama Hattie Edgerton stood on those shores in 1788 on her way to the Honorable T.R. Edgerton family in Relevant County, North Carolina, I'm so glad she didn't get left behind. Those Africans didn't like us then. They don't like us now. The only people that ever showed any love for us is those same white folks in those cotton fields and cornfields that we live side by side and call ourselves family. And I'm not here defending the institution of slavery, because slavery was bad when Jesus Christ walked the earth. It's part of man's inhumanity to the man. crosses all colors, all religions. But you know, there's something happening here in the South. People think that because they have attacked us and tried basically to commit cultural genocide toward us, telling our babies they can't use the word Confederacy. You know, there's a resolve. We always talk about how we think these babies are losing their manners and they're losing their southernness, but I'm gonna tell you something. There's a resolve in those children, much like their grandfathers that we see buried around here. They wanna know, and now they have these things called computers. These babies start plugging in these things, and these teachers can't get away with that stuff they used to get away with about, you know, our ancestors were demonic, slavery. When these children get the truth, they're gonna demand that whoever's sitting at White House get right on up and go right on down to the Treasury and return some of that stealing that took place around here. I'll tell you about that. And not only are they going to demand that they bring back some of the stealing that took place around here in the Southland of America, these babies are going to demand that somebody that walks down there to that education department, that the United States Department of Education, that they tell the real truth and restore the honor of our Southern family down here. We can't embrace our heritage, our ancestry, because the bottom line is this here. Yankees don't want you to know the truth. If you know the truth, you got to pay back all that stealing. A lot of folks got to pack the bags. You got to give back all the honor that you took from black folks and white folks around here in the Southland of America. I am so very, very proud of my heritage and my ancestry. God, in his infinite wisdom, could have sent my grandmama someplace else as a slave, but he sent her to the greatest country. He sent her to the Southland of America, and I sure am so very glad for that. If it hadn't have been for the skills that white folks taught black folks around here, that so-called freedom that we got with the second 13th Amendment, when they just set folks loose and said, now you're free. Free to go where, to do what? If it hadn't been for that white master who said, come in here, sit down, John. They burned out all our property, our money is no good, all the animals are gone, but we family. Let's work together to make this thing survive and work again. And they did, and they did.
So I did tell you that at the end of this video, I would give you my opinion. Yes, I do believe YouTube will be removing all videos with the Confederate flag. Hey guys, you want to light up the bed of your truck with some bad boy LEDs? Please check out the link below in the description box.
This is Pookie D. Thank you for joining us on the Upchurch Fan Channel. Kings of Country Rap is a Richard Christian Janus production.
Coming to you from the music capital of the world, you are watching Country Rap Review with your host, Ace Stryker.
Hello everybody, welcome to the show. If you are new, please like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for notifications coming up.
Holy cow! Holy guacamole! Shit! Music Row doesn't know what happened. All they know is that a tornado has hit Nashville, Tennessee. And the name of this tornado is Ryan Upchurch.
We now have a confirmed tornado?
It's in Davidson County. Just south towards the city, and I felt like I was in the Wizard of Oz, just spinning all around outside.
Let's see, it's observed. It was on, it was the TN dot cam. It just crossed 155 with numerous power flashes.
There's a confirmed tornado now on the ground. Folks, this just got really, really serious.
Holy shit! What the hell is Music Row gonna say now? Swing! Swing! Number one, Ryan Upchurch tells Music Row to go yourself. And what ends up happening? No, he doesn't get the boot. No, he goes to number one. Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Ace Stryker here for Country Rap News of the Day. Ryan Upchurch says, boom, to Music Row. Music Row, the tornado has hit Music Row. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know which way to turn. They don't know which way to look. They don't know if it's up or down. They know which way to look. Look up to number one. Ryan Upchurch has literally kicked their fucking ass. Ryan Upchurch says, screw you, Music Row. You must go.
Music Row, are you shitting your pants now?
This calls for tough love. We've got to draw him out. We've got to bait him, confront him, attack him until he defends himself.
You know, I've seen a lot of incredible careers out there, man. But I have never seen one actually like this, where somebody just basically tells Music Row to go themselves. And Music Row goes, well, no way, man. We'll just blackball you. And then the artist goes, no, watch what I can do on my own. You know, it's amazing how Music Row and the music industry and television industry, the movie industry, has been telling everybody for years and years of the way it's supposed to be. You know, it's about time that somebody stands up and says, no, we don't have to do it your way, because guess what? We are the people. We are the ones that decide who is who and what is what, not you. And then you are now shitting your bricks. So swing, 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 swing. Let me do the jig. Ryan Upchurch, number 1.
Ryan Upchurch's Mud to Gold hit number 1 in the world in all genres. Just hours after his release to all platforms, Ryan has a lot of support from his fellow brothers in the industry. Adam Calhoun said in one of his last Instagram videos of the night to go grab the album and support his good friend and brother. Lil White and Jelly Roll both posted first thing this morning on the Instagram, giving thanks for being a part of such a dope-ass album. Now, this says a lot about Ryan as an artist. He is not done setting the bar high. Mud to Gold has 13 songs with a total of 41 minutes of nothing but genius work, done by Stone Baby Sounds and the amazing team behind the scenes. Mud to Gold has more of the features that supporters have been wanting more of. Mercules, Lil White and Jelly Roll, and Paul Wall bring out sounds that will be listened to over and over. Ryan has 4 charting albums right now, but we will be following up for some more soon. We also know that recently Ryan Upchurch's Can I Get an Outlaw was currently and still in a way center of controversy. The song featuring Luke Combs just before his mainstream success was released as a single in 2015 off Upchurch's debut album Heart of America. The first verse is actually a chorus from Combs' song in 2014 about several legendary outlaw country artists, but Upchurch's version has been bigger celebration of Southern pride. However, 6 years later, stills from the music video of Can I Get an Outlaw has been circulating again, and it's getting a massive backlash. In the short clip, Luke Combs can be seen performing with several Confederate flags in the background. His acoustic guitar also carried a sticker that resembled the stars in the bar's flag, which has been a common white supremacist symbol to some people out there. Now, the country superstar has since apologized for his past mistake, saying that he was not aware at the time of what the image portrays. But Combs also admits that there is no excuse for using the flag imagery, which turned into a big old giant apology, friggin' crazy ass dramatized country music saga. He added that he has now grown a lot as an artist and as a man. In fact, the moment he landed a record deal and got his team in place, he made sure that they would disassociate themselves from any radical or racial behaviors, and they have been doing that for years now. Ryan Upchurch also posted a video on the YouTube titled My Apology. However, it wasn't an apology, but instead to object to Combs' apology and defend his use of the Confederate flag in his videos. He believes that there is nothing to be sorry for and calls for all country singers to quit being effing little sissies. According to the reports, Combs' record label Sony Music Nashville, here on Music Row, is currently trying to have the music video of Upchurch's Can I Get an Outlaw removed from online video sharing platforms all over the social media outlets. And obviously, it's not working too well. So anyway, you guys, that's what's going on here right now. Upchurch has kicked Music Row's butt, and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know where to go, and they don't know where to turn. Thank you for joining us. This is Ace Stryker for Country Rap News. Rap, Rock, and Country is a Richard Christian Danis production. This is A. Stryker. Thank you for joining us on the Country Rap Review.
I think winter has become my favorite season here. Brings out all the colors and the gray pops, and it just stops you in your tracks. Yosemite Valley to climbing is, I feel like it's kind of like Mecca or the center of the universe.
Coming to you from Los Angeles, California. You are watching Rock Legends with your host, Ace Stryker. This edition of Rock Legends is brought to you by Watson Guitars.
Styx, an American rock band from Chicago that formed in 1972 and is best known for melding hard rock guitar balanced with acoustic guitar, synthesizers, mixed acoustic piano, upbeat tracks with power ballads, and incorporating elements of international music theater. The band established itself with a progressive rock sound in the 1970s and began to incorporate pop rock and soft rock elements in the 1980s. Now, beginning with Styx in 1972, the band usually released an album every year. Styx 2, 1973, had the sleeper hit Lady, a power ballad which reached number 6 in the U.S., helping an album make the top 20. Lady was also a top 20 hit in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Equinox in 1975 and Crystal Ball in 1976 reached the U.S. top 70 hit, with the first featuring Lorelei, a number 6 hit in Canada, while the second marked the addition of Tommy Shaw to join the band. Styx's commercial breakthrough in North America came with The Grand Illusion in 1977, which peaked at number 6 in both in the U.S. and Canada and became the first of 4 straight triple platinum albums in the U.S. for Styx. It featured the single Come Sail Away, a top 10 hit in both countries. The band follows up with Pieces of 8 in 1978. That was another number 6 hit in the U.S., but not a number 1. In 1979, Styx Cornerstone went to number 2 in both countries on the strength of the cross-border number 1 hit ballad Babe. The album became their breakthrough album in Australia and New Zealand, reaching the top 20 with Babe peaking at number 3. Babe was a number 6 hit in the UK, their first and only top 40 hit there, leading Cornerstone to their first album to chart number 36 there. In 1981, Styx Paradise Theater was number 1 album in the US and Canada, while also reaching the top 10 in Scandinavia and the UK, their biggest album there, and the top 30 in Australia and New Zealand. The Best of Times of the album reached number 1 in Canada, number 3 in the US Billboard, number 1 in the US CHR chart radio and records, and top 30 in some other countries. While Too Much Time on My Hands was also a top 10 hit in North America, Kilroy was here. 1983 was Styx's last major hit album, reaching the top 3 in North America and the top 10 in Scandinavia, although it was less successful elsewhere. Its lead single, Mr. Roboto, became Styx's 3rd top charter in Canada, was a number 3 hit in the US, and was their biggest hit in Germany, number 8. After a 7-year break, Styx returned to and with Edge of the Century 1990, which reached number 63 in the US with its single Show Me the Way, becoming a top 3 hit in North America and in early 1991 on the Billboard charts. Overall, Styx had 8 songs that hit the top 10 in the US Billboard Hot 100, as well as 16 top 40 singles. 7 of their 8 top 10 singles were written and sung by founding member of the lead singer Dennis D. Young, who has not been part of the band since 1999. Styx has sold over 54 million records worldwide. So let's go back to the early years. In August 1961, at 12 years of age, twin brothers Chuck, bass guitar player, and John Panazzo, drums, first played music together with their 14-year-old neighbor Dennis DeYoung, who played accordion and sang while living in the Roseland, Chicago area. Eventually in seminary in a year, but returned to the group by 1964. Tom Nardini had been brought into replace Chuck on guitar, and Chuck decided to play bass guitar when he returned to the band. Now, John Panazzo was the drummer, while DeYoung had switched from accordion to keyboards. In 1965, the Tradewinds name was changed to WT4. There were four. And another band, the Tradewinds, achieved fame nationally. By 1966, the Panazzo brothers had joined DeYoung at Chicago State College and kept the group together by performing at high schools and fraternity parties while studying to be teachers. In 1969, they added a college friend, folk guitarist John Sirkowski, after Nardini departed. Hard rocker guitarist James J.Y. Young came aboard the band in 1970, making TW4 into a quintet. In 1972, band members decided to choose a new name when they signed Wooden Nickel Records after being spotted by a talent agent scout at a concert at St. John of the Crossroads Parish in Western Springs, Illinois. Now, James J.Y. Young's hometown, several suggested we were made, and according to DeYoung, yes, the name Styx was chosen because it was the only one that none of us hated. The band released 4 albums: Styx 1972, Styx 2 in 1973, and The Serpent is Rising in 1973, and The Man of Miracles in 1974. These albums contain straight-ahead rockers, mixed prog rock, flourish with a lot of guitars, drums, keyboards, percussions, and vocal solos. They established the fan base in Chicago area, but were unable to break into the mainstream, though the song Best Thing from Styx charted on September 16th in 1972 and stayed on Billboard Hot #1 charts for 6 weeks, peaking at number 82. Then the power ballad Lady from Styx began to earn some radio time, first on WLS in Chicago in 1974, and then nationwide in the spring of 1975, nearly 2 years after the album had been released. Now, WLS in Chicago in 1974 and then nationwide in 1975, nearly 2 years after the album had just been released, Lady hit number 6 in the U.S., and Styx 2 went gold by many classic rock critics as being the biggest first power ballad, with Dennis DeYoung being referred to as the father of power ballads. With the success of Lady and the follow-up single on Styx 2, You Need Love, was released by only barely cracked the hot #1. For Styx to achieve mainstream success, they would need to sign with an additional new record company. Now, in the years 1975-1978, on the heels of the belated single, Styx signed with A&M Records and released Equinox in 1975, which yielded a minor hit, Lorelei, which reached number 27 in the U.S. More importantly, it contained the rock anthem Sweet Madam Blue, which gained the band's considerable recognition and airplay on FM radio in the relatively new album-oriented rock format. Following the move to A&M, guitarist John Sirkowski suddenly left the band as they were to embark on a nationwide tour in December 1975. Due to his desire to spend time with his family, after a frantic last-minute search, the band brought in guitarist Tommy Shaw. Crystal Ball 1976, the first album to feature Tommy Shaw, was moderately successful, but it was overall a disappointment, failing to achieve the sales of its predecessor. Now, Styx's 7th album, The Grand Illusion, was released on July 7, 1977, and became their breakthrough album, reaching triple platinum certification. It was spawned as a top 10 hit and AOR radio staple in the DeYoung written Come Sail Away, which reached number 8 in 1978. Now, Shaw's Fooling Yourself, The Angry Young Man, was a second radio hit and reached number 29. The same year, the title track was also received and major airplay. Through the late 1970s and the early 1980s, the band enjoyed the greatest success. Their 1978 album Pieces of Eight found the group moving in more straight-ahead hard rock direction and spawned 3 of Shaw's sung hit singles, Renegade, number 16 in the U.S., and Blue Collar Man, Long Nights, number 21 in the U.S., plus a minor hit single of the day that stopped just short of top 40 at number 41. Now, the 1980s and superstardom, their 1979 album Cornerstone yielded their first number 1 hit, the DeYoung ballad Babe. By early 1980, Babe had become the band's biggest international hit and first million-selling single, reaching number 6 in the United Kingdom. The album also included number 26 DeYoung hits Upbeat, Why Me, and the rocker Borrowed Time, which was co-written by Shaw, plus Shaw's folksy Boat on the River in 1980, which was a hit in Europe and Japan. The popularity of the album number 2 Billboard helped win the band a People's Choice Award for the Best New Song in 1980. Now, at the 22nd Grammys, Styx was nominee for the Best Rock Vocal Performance by Duo or Group, and Cornerstone's engineers Gary Liazzo and Rob Kingsland were nominated for the Grammy for Best Engineered Recording. Now, with the success of Babe, DeYoung's push for more mainstream direction gained momentum, while Shaw and Young favored a more rock-oriented approach. This arguing over musical direction led to an ongoing tension in the early 1980s after Shaw objected to the ballad First Time being released as the second single from Cornerstone. Although the song was generating substantial airplay in some major markets, A&M pulled the plug on the single's official release, replacing it with Why Me. The argument resulted in DeYoung being briefly fired from the band. However, things were quickly smoothed over. While the First Time did not chart in the U.S. because it wasn't released, actually, it became a huge hit in the Philippines in 1981. In January 1981, Styx released Paradise Theater, a concept album that became their biggest hit, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Pop Album charts and yielding 5 singles, including the top 10 hits Best of Times by DeYoung, number 3 Billboard number 1, Radio and Records, and Too Much Time on My Hands by Tommy Shaw, number 9, his only top 10 single as a member of the band. Paradise Theater became the band's 4th consecutive multi-platinum album, based on the yet another Dennis DeYoung concept. The Paradise Theater was a historic Chicago theater that had been built in the 1920s, only to fall on hard times and close more than 30 years after it opened. Then a very ambitious year-long world tour commenced in 1981 in support of the had numerous Broadway and movie